Genesis 13. Ephron tries to give Abraham land to bury Sarah, but Abraham insists on buying it. Abraham is actually buying burial property for his whole family. If you go to Hebron, you can see Abraham's tomb. Abraham, Isaac, Leah, and Sarah are all buried there. Rachel is buried in a tomb outside of Bethlehem. Abraham is now 140 years old, and it is time to find a bride for Isaac. He calls on Eliezer so he can put his hand under Abraham's thigh. This motion was meant as a strength covenant. Do not take her from the Canaanites because they are unbelievers. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. 2 Corinthians 16:14, Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. Two are better than one. Strength, confidence, and closeness. The angel of the Lord was dispatched to find Isaac's wife. Genesis 24:7. The reason is 1 Corinthians 7 about marriage and divorce among believers. Should you marry an unbeliever and try to change that person after vows, and the person can only say, "I don't think so"? They would now live in strife for the remainder of their days. Abraham didn't want Eliezer to take Isaac with him. The servant went to Nahor. Eliezer called the friend of the bridegroom, brought the dowry, set up how he wanted the new bride to act as a way to know she was the selected one. Rebecca shows up. Eliezer prays to God that she be the one. Before he could finish his prayer, Rebecca did everything that Eliezer had requested. Eliezer gave Rebecca, Genesis 24:22, a nose ring, jewelry, and clothing. Today, please don't be walking around with a nose ring. Her family then asked Rebecca if she was willing to go with him, and she said yes. Rachel is now en route to Isaac, a 450-mile trip. When she saw Isaac, she veiled her face. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he loved her, and they were married. Commitment, then love. Mark Twain says, "Go into a marriage with eyes wide open, but be married with eyes half shut." Go into a marriage fully prepared for being together for life. Let the engine be the will. Let the will be the engine and the feelings the caboose. Egypt is maintained by the Nile. Canaan is taken care of by God. The Philistines live there. Isaac lied like Abraham and said Rebekah was his sister, except this time she wasn't. Abimelech then saw Isaac playing with Rebekah and noticed she was Isaac's wife. Abraham lies, Isaac lies, Jacob lies. Jacob and Esau. Rebekah has a difficult pregnancy. Jacob grabbed Esau's heel at birth. Esau was hairy. Esau gave up his birthright for a bowl of stew cooked by Rebekah and served by Jacob. Esau begats the Edomites. Jacob is sent to Laban, Rebekah's brother, to get a wife. She never sees Jacob again. Jacob is now working for Laban, his uncle, towards getting a wife. Esau marries Mahalath, Ishmael, his cousin, in addition to his other wives, who were Canaanites, which his dad hated. to say he has married a woman of the family tree. Jacob pursues a wife of his family tree and in transit goes to sleep on a rock, going to get his future wife, future to be, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother. Laban gives Jacob Leah as wife instead of Rachel as a con to marry off Leah. Leah bears Jacob 12 sons. Jacob has 4 wives and 13 children, 12 boys, 1 girl, and only 2 by Rachel, who uses mandrakes or love apples to have children, and has Joseph and Benjamin, which is why God's lineage was from Rachel. When Benjamin was born, Jacob asked to leave Laban's country after 20 years. Laban told him no. Laban was superstitious and wanted Jacob to stay so Laban could be prosperous. Laban is a con artist. There was a dispute over livestock of Jacob getting too many. They decided that livestock is either being spotted, speckled, and otherwise, but Jacob won. Any livestock born that will be that way will be Jacob's. Jacob ended up with most of the stock. As of now, Laban begins to hate Jacob. Laban was becoming a great manipulator. Laban's sons are quite jealous of Jacob. God told Jacob to go back to whence he came. Jacob calls Rachel and Leah to the field to explain the Laban issue to them and moved his flocks towards going back home. The women said, "Let's go home, for Laban has spent our dowry." Jacob heads for Canaan. Laban catches them in the mountains and declares someone has stolen one of his idols when they moved out. Rachel hid it on the camel she was riding on. When Laban couldn't find it, Jacob got mad at him. He lectured Laban. Jacob and Laban have a covenant meal. This causes the Mizpah blessing, which is a very bad blessing that is taken very badly out of context. It is a distrusting blessing between Laban, Jacob, and God about extreme distrust. People use it to mean God keep you in his care. Laban gave everyone a goodbye kiss and went back home. Jacob is now headed between Iraq and a hard place, a rock and a hard place, to discover his brother Esau. That is it for Genesis 13.